It's the Casimir Engine Show podcast. I didn't go, whoa, it's the Casimir, all like that. It's a super special event for you tonight. That's because I'm recording this at night time. It's pitch black.
You're listening to the
That's me.
Ka. Hasn't that been done to death? Isn't that so 90s?
Ka.
You think so?
It's the Casimir Engine. It's not Ka. And this is super favourite act of the moment. This is our mate Thierry, a top tune from Thierry. This is stereo in solo with City of Lights. Stereo in solo. Just follow the night. Follow the lights. Follow the lights. Stereo in solo. Top tunage. It's our Thierry. He's from Paris. Hey, we're getting all international on the Casimir Engine Show podcast. Ooh, ah, chicka chicka cha. So, we've had bags and bags of rain over the past 3 days. It's just not stopped chucking it down. It's been awful. So that meant nobody said, "Hey, Casimir, what's on the show this week?" So I've had to make it up. But we have an extra special show for you. We've got a couple of interviews. We've got an interview with Louise, she's been made our new international correspondent. And she gave me a call from somewhere where I'd never dreamt anybody would call me from. And she contacted, you have to forgive us with the line because it wasn't the best of reception. She gave us a call on WhatsApp. So I had video, you get the audio bit. And then after that, we've got an interview with my new Bezies from Full Moon Coffee Company. They're based in Wirksworth. I popped over to their place on Sunday afternoon. I'm a day late letting this one go, eh? Sounds a bit windy, that, Kaz. But yeah, I'm a day late getting this out into the atmosphere. But I popped over to see Full Moon, and they told me everything that I needed to know about coffee. So we've got that coming up. We've got super new jingles that were created by the Full Moon Coffee Company junior crew. We also had, it was National Album Day on Saturday, and I went over to BPM in Derby, and I picked up the Oobleck CD, and I picked up B52's album. But the big news is Casimir Engine Show podcast favourites, Analog, Electronic, whatever, they've got a new cassette out. But without any more delay, let's catch up with Louise on the phone. Let's hope that's working, because we've got a phone call with our international correspondent.
Hello.
Oh, Louise, you're back. Are you
I'm
there?
back. Yes. I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear. And it's recording now as well.
Oh, is it? Good.
You're talking,
Good.
You're talking to the world. So you're our world roving reporter. And I haven't said anything yet. Tell us, Louise, where are you?
I am in Chernobyl.
No way.
Oh, yes. Chernobyl.
No way. And
yeah.
you're, I mean, we're not kidding here. You are actually there. You're not in a hotel room or anything like that, are you? Oh no, we've lost Louise. The Russians know we're here.
I've lost you.
Oh no, you're back. Yeah.
I'm back. So Soviets jamming the signals again.
It's them pesky Ruskies.
It's because I went to that secret listening station and told the world about it. That's what it is.
I saw that on Facebook Live earlier.
Did you? Yes.
I mean, it looked massive. How massive was it?
Oh, it was just huge. I can't convey how big it was. It was, just massive thing that the Soviets built. It was a, they were checking to see if there were like US missiles and things and jamming transmissions and things like that. But apparently they built it, and then by the time the disaster happened, that was it. So they never got a chance to use it properly. So they spent all that money building this massive place, and that was it.
What,
and it's just been rusting away in the forest ever since.
It don't work because of the nuclear, the radiation.
Yeah, yeah, because it's in the exclusion zone. So everything was evacuated. Yeah.
So are you in the exclusion zone now?
I'm in the 30 kilometres.
Oh, the receptions. They really hate us, the Russians. Oh, you're back.
They do.
You're back.
Move back a bit here. I've been in the 10 kilometre zone earlier today, and you have to pass through radiation control on the way out of it. You have to a little machine, like those airport machines where you stand in and you put your hands up and it swipes around. And if it comes up, you're okay to go. And if it doesn't, I don't know what happens. I think they leave you here, and that's it. You have to live in the forest with the wild dogs.
With the dogs, there's dogs everywhere.
There are dogs everywhere, loads of them. There's one over here actually, which I'll show you if it doesn't lose the signal. You might see him behind me sleeping.
Oh, are you bringing one back?
They're so cute.
Oh, and are they just left from when people left? Oh no, the Russians are still checking on us. Oh, you're there. You're back. You're back.
Yeah, I think a lot of them have got tags in their ears, so obviously somebody rounds them up and chips them and has them neutered and everything, and they're obviously, reasonably well cared for. There were some living at the checkpoint where they do radiation control when you go into and out of the kilometre zone. So some living there and obviously being fed. These seem to be hanging around the hotel here, so I assume that they kind of get fed somewhere around here. And the rest, I don't know, but there are lots of them.
So
and
describe a hotel in Chernobyl. I can't imagine it's like Holiday Inn. Well, it might be like the Holiday Inn at Glasgow Airport, but
yeah, it's basic, shall we say? It's basic, but but they're nice actually, clean.
And how many people are on your trip? How many people are there with you?
14. There's 14 of us
on the trip.
Yes, yeah. Yep, and you might be able to see the hotel in the background. It's a bit dark, but there you go.
Oh, yeah, got
there we go. There's the hotel, yeah. And it's very nice, and we're about to have dinner very shortly. We get what we're given. We get what we're given, so no choice or anything, but that'll be interesting. See what we get.
And I would imagine that it's not anything that's grown locally or any cows that are grown it's all shipped in.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you, really?
Crossed,
but who knows?
You might look like the Ready Breck advert in the morning.
I might. Oh, the healthy glow.
So are the people from all over the world? All the visitors are from all over the world, yeah?
The people on my tour are, I think, all from England or Scotland.
Okay.
But we've seen a few other tour groups around, and they're obviously from various different countries. So people from all over the place.
And do you have to wear a Geiger counter all the time, or are you being?
Our guide has a Geiger counter and checks the levels. Yes. So
how long can you stay there for?
Maximum of 2 days, so we're here until tomorrow, and then we'll go back to Kiev. That's the maximum you can stay in the exclusion zone.
Is there a shop?
Apparently, yes. I think we'll go into it tomorrow. There is a shop. That will be interesting.
I need a pencil or a rubber or whatever from Chernobyl. It's got to be done, isn't it?
There's Chernobyl beer. If you're lucky, I might bring back some Chernobyl beer. Puts hairs on your chest, literally.
All the women over there have it, don't they? So, hey, I tell you what, thanks ever so much for sparing some time. Anyway.
That's all right.
Hey, and
that's okay. Luck. I'm going to go and get my.
Be careful. Enjoy your borscht or whatever it is.
I will do. And remember, in Soviet Union, television watches you.
Hey, fantastic. You be careful out there.
Sorry.
You be careful.
Yes, I will do.
See you later.
Signing off.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you to Louise for contacting the show from Chernobyl. Right. If anybody's ever had a phone call from Chernobyl, let us know. How do you let the Casimir engine know you've had a phone call from Chernobs? Well, you can contact us on Twitter at Casimir Podcast. And then you can get in touch with us through Facebook. That's the Casimir Engine Show Podcast. You put that in the People, Places and Things section, top of the page, or you use the new short thing at Casimir Podcast. So what else is on the show then, Kaz? Well, as I said at the top of the show, I went over to see my new Bezzies, Full Moon Coffee. We're going to have some music through the night. We're going to have a new track by Daisy Georgia. That's a new track called Soup. We're going to have music from Transmission 13. They're a new band that have become friends of the Casimir Engine Show. And also we've got Grawlix, because me and regular listener Nige are going to go over to the Quad in Derby and see him tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And we've also got a band from Bristol called Second Hand Arms Dealer, and we've got Blood and a Quill that's coming from them. Don't forget, I'll put all the details about all the bands I'll put them on the Facebook and on the Twitter page, and if you want to follow them, give them a like. You can get in touch with Thierry at Stereo in Solo. I'll stick his details up. Let's have a chat with the guys from Full Moon Coffee.
You're listening to the Casimir Engine Show podcast, and it's great.
Okay, so I'm with Beth and Tom from Full Moon Coffee Roasters in Wirksworth.
Hello.
Hi.
Is that right? Was
Oh,
that
yeah.
right?
Bang on,
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
So that's a first. That's first. Welcome to the Casimir Engine Show podcast.
What about company bit?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, okay then. Full Moon
If
Coffee
you want
Co.
to be
in Wirksworth. Yeah.
Full Moon
Full
Coffee
Moon Coffee Co.
Sorry.
Full Moon Coffee Co.
I'm professional.
It's true stories. People might
I've
not
got
know that, so.
loads and loads of questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated that there's a coffee roasters in Derbyshire, never mind in Wirksworth. We get a lot of people from Lebanon and Ukraine, Finland, all over the world who are listening to this. But I swear, the first question is, it's always the most important one, is what's your favourite colour of jelly?
Well, it's got green, clearly.
I was going to say green.
Yeah.
Two greens?
But when it's still the cubes, rather than making it into jelly, just chomp through the cubes and then, yeah, good to go.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it
eat
does taste
jelly
better
without
before you
making it
add the
into jelly.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I am agreeing with this one.
Green.
Yeah.
Two greens.
Two
Although
greens.
blackcurrant raw is good.
Blackcurrant. We've not had any blackcurrant before.
Oh, there you go.
So, strawberry's still streaking ahead, I'm afraid, but we'd stay with the mainstream stuff.
Boring, isn't it?
Lime is brilliant.
Okay, so we're in Wirksworth. Are you from Wirksworth?
Well,
Well, I was born in Chesterfield.
Okay.
And I moved to Wirksworth when I was 10.
Yeah.
And then I went to Huddersfield University.
Oh, right.
And I met Tom.
Yeah.
And then Tom and me moved back to Wirksworth 2009.
Okay. Are you from from Huddersfield?
yeah, just outside, but yeah, pretty much born
Yeah.
and bred in Huddersfield. Never heard of Wirksworth before I met Beth.
No
And
way.
then,
Everybody's heard of Wirksworth.
Not-
You better
Not
say
north.
everybody's heard of Wirksworth quick, because there's people listening on the Wirksworth Facebook page.
I'd not even heard of Matlock, believe it or not. Never
Really?
mind Wirksworth. No, completely passed me by, this bit of the world.
Well, we'd all heard of Huddersfield, so just to make you feel bad.
I should think so.
And now it's massively in the news now. You don't know Jodie Whittaker, do you?
I don't know.
It's all right.
No, sadly not.
I was going to say we could change this. Forget about the coffee thing, and we could just do Jodie Whittaker. So.
I've met Patrick Stewart, though. He's the other famous Huddersfield old boy.
Is he not the... he's the thingamajig of the
university. Yeah, that's where I met him.
Yeah? Cool. I'm a big Trekkie.
Oh, are you?
Oh, a huge Trekkie. Can you not tell by the pointy ears
I've
and
never
the
seen
uniform that I've got on? Oh, right, that's okay then. So you grew up in Huddersfield. You met at university. What were you doing at university?
I was doing law, which paid off well now following my glittering legal career.
I was doing an art degree.
Okay.
But I met Tom when he was working in a record shop, and I became a Christmas temp. And the rest is history.
Yeah? What was the record? Is it still there?
No, well, it was Music Zone, so that chain that went under about 2009, 2010, wasn't it?
Yeah. 2008, wasn't it? It's just before we moved here.
Yeah.
So have you got a massive collection of vinyl? Yes, you have got. It's behind me. I've just noticed all of that. So we could switch off now and just have a look through your vinyl as well.
That's
really,
fine.
Okay. What did you want to do when you you wanted to be a lawyer?
Well, not really.
Oh. Well, of course, you're doing lawyer at university. Nobody wants to.
Well, it was more your classic case of not really knowing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then fell into doing law because I took a temporary job at a solicitor's office.
Okay.
And then jacked that in to go work in a record shop, and then just sort of muddled through without any. I've never known what I want to do. Still don't really.
Yeah.
Coffee roasting.
Well, other than coffee roasting, obviously. Yeah.
What drove you to being a coffee guru?
Tom had an operation.
Okay.
We've always been into coffee.
Yeah.
But.
Just drinking.
We've always been thinking about maybe having a little business together. And then Tom had an operation, which meant he was out of work for 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
So in that time, when he was in his bed, we used to experiment with coffee beans, like just getting a kilogram of raw beans from somewhere and roasting it and then trying it. And then through that, we worked out which beans we liked the most. And then found out about all the fair trade ones.
Oh, okay.
And then we gave our friends some and said, why don't you try this? We roasted it in a popcorn machine in our bedroom.
Popcorn maker at first.
And tried it and they're that's really good. You should do some more. We'll have some. And then we got a bigger machine.
A bigger popcorn machine?
Oh, no. Well, this time it was a proper coffee roaster.
Right.
But it only did 250 grams at a time.
Oh, okay.
So it was only little.
Very small scale.
So that's like one bag. And then from there, our friend said, this is really good. You should sell it. See if you could get onto the Wirksworth Farmers Market and see what happens. And so we did. And then got a bigger coffee roaster, obviously. And now we've got a big, proper one and a business. Just because we liked
dream.
It. Yeah, and just having those 10 months of thinking, now what are we going to do? Because we didn't know the future of the other side of the operation.
So
I hope you got an answer there.
Yeah, I think you got. Yeah, I think you got one. It was profound as well. You were looking. You were looking to say something profound. Smashed it at the park. Yeah, in profoundism.
That's it. No one will ever match that.
Okay. And you're based here? I'm trying to grab my coffee. You've made me a cup of coffee, and I've got to go right the way around here.
Don't spill it on this stuff.
I'll try not to spill it all over this electrical stuff. Where are you based then?
So, right in the middle of town on St John Street, so the main road through Wirksworth.
Okay.
We rent half of someone's garage, don't we? And turn that into a little grocery. Yeah, it all works out quite nicely, so we don't have to go too far for anything. It's all hyper-local.
Fantastic. And why Full Moon Coffee? Why was it Full Moon Coffee?
So when we started, I was up all hours because I was on a combination of painkillers and all sorts of stuff, which meant I wasn't sleeping anyway. And we also had a newborn baby. So our son, who's now 4, was knocking on for a year at the time. So we were up in the middle of the night discussing whether to do this or not, looking out at the full moon. And it comes from there, really.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you know what? You probably couldn't even make that up, could you? There's a story behind the brand. That is fabulous, isn't it? Your coffee, where do you get your coffee from?
So we tend to have our set coffee, which comes from Colombia.
Yeah.
So from a group of farms called the Antioquia Estates, and I've never known whether that's correct pronunciation, but I probably put so. If there's any Colombians listening, apologies if I've butchered that terribly. So that's our sort of usual coffee, for want of a better expression. But then we work with an importer who works with. So we only import stuff from fairly small farms and collectives. So we have the Colombian as our standard bean, and then we try to have a sort of rotating selection to sit alongside it. Yeah. Generally based around. So we do a stall at the Wirksworth Farmers Market on the first Saturday of the month, and we try to get a new bean each month so that there's something different and a bit special.
So, not giving any secrets away, how do you find coffee plantations? Or farmers? How do you find them? Just on the internet, or
no? So we work with this importer. So we try to make sure that we're never more than one step away from the farmers themselves. So we can make sure that we know exactly where the beans are coming from, that the farmers are getting a fair price, and all that sort of stuff. So we've got a good relationship with this importer, who then their job is to go out, meet the farmers, strike up a relationship, and then bring coffee back for us to try. And anything that tastes good, we get hold of and get some in and roast it up.
Okay, so what makes for a good coffee then? What are you looking for in your coffee? Is it the story behind the bean, the farmer, or is it the taste and something different? Remember you talking to somebody who's... I like coffee, and I like coffee a lot, but I also drink stuff out of a jar. So I suppose you might want to let me know where am I going wrong drinking stuff out of a jar?
Well, I suppose it depends what you're after, really, because there's a risk of being a bit of a coffee snob and telling people that something's wrong, which, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I suppose. But what we try to do is make sure that everything that we sell or supply is roasted as fresh as possible. Yeah. So as soon as you roast it, the taste then starts to dissipate, and then as soon as you grind it, the taste then dissipates even quicker. Yeah. So the instant coffee that's freeze-dried... there's nothing wrong with it per se, but you're not going to get that same depth of flavour that you'd get from a freshly roasted, freshly ground coffee bean. And then in terms of what makes a good coffee, it depends what you're after, really. So different parts of the world tend to have quite distinct flavours. So your Brazilian coffees tend to be a bit more chocolatey and a bit spicier, and then as you move up to the sort of South and Central American, you get touch more acidity and a bit more fruity, and a bit less sweet as you move into the Central American bits. But then there's all sorts of factors. The quality of it's a bit like wine, really. So the quality of the soil that the coffees are grown into, and then the higher up they are above sea level, you tend to get more complex flavours. So the soil makes a big difference. And then when they're up higher, they generally tend to be on a mountain, so the water flows past it, so the coffee beans haven't got time to absorb as much water, so that means that the sugars and the complex flavours aren't washed away with that, so they've more time to develop slowly and mature to perfection, really. But if you're looking for coffee, your best bet's to try and find something that's Arabica beans rather than Robusta, because they're the better ones.
From Matlock, it's the Casimir Engine Show podcast.
Across the state of Florida looked up into the air this morning to see a bright light streaking across the dark sky. Was it a plane, a shooting star, a meteor, or was it possibly a UFO? Let's find out. CBS 4's Walter McCullough is here to explain the spectacular show in the sky. Walter?
Well, Elliot, this was not a common sight to see. An out-of-this-world light stretching across the dark sky. But as you see, it was actually from this world, right here in the state. It wasn't a bird nor a plane, but it was super, super incredible.
3, 2, 1, 0.
The Atlantis Atlas V rocket blasted off with a Navy satellite attached to it. The Atlas V rocket was first introduced in August of 2002.
Friend of mine, the Little Hallam Posse, who probably will be listening in at some point. He's a coffee snob, but he told me about AeroPress.
So yeah, the one that you drink it now has been made with.
Oh right, you can tell. No, I can't really tell.
I think AeroPress are brilliant.
Well, again, I met somebody else who was I went into their office and they got an AeroPress. On a cabinet at the side,
on a shrine,
yeah, that kind of thing. You know, you always know when somebody's like a bit of a coffee aficionado because they've got a particular mug, or you know, they've got all the stuff, haven't they? They've got the gear, and he got an AeroPress. I've got one of them, and he says, "Oh yeah, but do you use the inversion method?" And he knew that I didn't. He just knew straight away that I didn't. But there's a different method where you make. And if anybody's listening, AeroPress is like a massive syringe, isn't it? You put your coffee in, add some water, and then push it through a filter, and it makes coffee really quite quickly.
Yeah, quite quickly, but quite deliciously as well.
Yeah, it's really clever.
It
really
kind of takes out the bitter tones, I think. It makes it a bit nicer.
But I was always worried because as soon as you put the water in, it starts dribbling through the filter. But the inversion method, you do it upside down. Then do you know the inversion method?
That's how this one was made.
Oh, you can tell again. You can tell. I was just testing there. You can actually tell. But so, what are we drinking? This is, and I'm not. This is not blowing smoke, you know, or anything like that. But it is really not. And I haven't had milk, and I normally have milk. But I also got told off at a coffee shop for having milk in a filter coffee once.
So again, it's what you like. So
okay.
I am a bit of a purist. So I don't like anything in mine at all. No milk, no sugar, you know, no pumpkin spice lattes for me. But equally, if that's what you like, then that's fine. But again, if your beans are good quality and have been roasted properly, so your big chain coffee shops tend to, for my taste anyway, over roast the coffee, because if you roast it really dark like that, it hides some of the impurities and some of the lack of flavour. Whereas this, because it's nice and fresh and your beans are good quality to start with, you don't need to roast it as hard, so you get sort of the natural sweetness of the beans coming through, and none of the bitterness that you get with that really dark, sort of really fast, hard roasting. I
don't understand wine at all. I mean, I really, you can tell, can't you, just by looking at me, that I'm not a wine buff at all. But
and as Eva, you know, we're all about bottom Ken's posh wines, $4.99.
Oh, Kiss wine. There's some special edition Kiss wine.
Yeah.
You know, the band.
No, who's got
Kiss
that?
wine in Ken's for £4.99.
Right. We better
really
explain.
Nice.
Ken's is a small, it's a mega mart type place in Wirksworth. Because the man in Lebanon's thinking, what's top Ken's and bottom Ken's?
It's a good supermarket. Small one?
I've got Kiss aftershave.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And the thing,
I hate to imagine what that smells like.
Well, the thing on the back, it said long lasting, which I always think's the thing you look for in an aftershave. Isn't it? That you're going to smell of Gene Simmons for a long time.
After a hard day's rocking, you still want to smell like
exactly.
Gene.
Hang on, there's a Kiss lyric there, isn't there?
I don't know any.
I don't know. Mrs. Engine knows everything about Kiss.
Oh, well,
everything.
She'll be able to put a little bit of input in that bit down.
Oh, she will. Yeah, I'll edit her in here. Saying she always tells the story that she's seen Kiss like 20 times, but never in makeup. Oh, yeah. No, you see, that's piqued your interest. Yeah. I've heard it that many times. I'm not bothered anymore. But yeah, she's never seen them wearing makeup. So anyway, less of the Kiss. Okay. But I am going to get a bottle of Kiss wine for Christmas.
Oh, it was actually really tasty wine.
Really?
Yeah.
Got to get some of that.
Got it twice in a row. It was great.
Oh, fantastic. We were. Well, I'm trying to think where we were before we went into the Kiss. But no, I'm drinking. Yeah, I wasn't blowing smoke.
That's it. Yeah.
And I'm not a wine buff. I like beer. I like beer that tastes of beer. But when I drink this one, I can taste fruit. Is that right? Yeah. I can taste like, I don't know, berries or it's like a berry. Am I doing all right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you can taste like. I don't know whether it's because it's not got the milk in. And I've stopped drinking. I'm not being interviewed here. I'm asking you the questions. But so I've stopped trying to drink as much dairy. Yeah, I don't like as much dairy and stuff like that. But it's not got those bitter kind of tastes that you get. You know, when you open your bag up and it smells great and you pour it into your percolator or whatever. There always seems to be a bit of a, it's a bit sharp. And so why is this all fruity and why is it drinkable?
It's the taste of the bean, isn't it, rather than the taste of the roasting, if that makes sense.
But you get a bean.
Yes.
How do you know what it's going to taste like when it's made into coffee?
Well, ultimately, you don't the first time you get it.
We've tried them all.
You have to... So what we tend to do when we get it first is we try roasting it a few different ways. So I suppose it's a bit like when you've got a steak and you don't know whether that's going to be a good steak, sort of rare or medium rare or
tough
or well done or whatever. Yeah. So we experiment with it through the different roasts. So generally speaking, the lighter the roast, you have more of the original bean flavours, and then as you go darker, you lose some of that and you get more of the roasting flavours. But then it's different. Some beans, those tastes don't come out until you get a bit further in. So it's a little bit of trial and error at first, isn't it, until we hit something that we think tastes
Well, like
good.
the Colombian, we couldn't roast it any more than at City Method, because if it was any darker, it just tasted a bit like charcoal.
Hang on a minute, you just said City Method?
Oh yeah, we use we do it medium, which is like really light roast.
Okay.
City roast, which is a bit more roasted, and it's kind of what people expect from a coffee.
Okay.
And then
wake me up in the morning kind of coffee.
Yeah, or it's just that level
your baseline
of coffee. Yeah. So like the medium, lots of, I don't like to say it, but hipsters like it really light roasted, so you can really taste it.
The people who collect cassettes.
Yes, you might like it.
I love that. I love it. I don't even care what it tastes like. I'm going to love it.
Well, there you go. And then we also do a French roast, which is...
Oh, right, I've heard of French roast.
Roasted a lot more.
Okay.
So, yeah, really dark.
So it's darker. Same level of caffeine in it all.
Yeah.
It just tastes different. But if we did our Colombian bean to the French method,
yeah,
it just got too dark because it's quite a dark tasting bean at a lighter roast, if that makes sense.
Okay,
so we just had to experiment.
Do you test them like in your popcorn machine? You do like 250 grams or whatever, so you find out what your beans are going to taste like at different roasts.
Although we stick with so the roast we've got now does a kilogram at a time, but it's a beautiful it's sort of a copper-plated, almost looks Victorian, steampunky kind of thing. So
with levers and funnels and stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So we use that. We commit to a kilogram, and occasionally we have to throw it away because it tastes disgusting. But
we do drink it, so it's it's in the kitchen there in the corner.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
But then we know what it's going to, because something can taste different when you've roasted it in the popcorn maker, and then when you scale that up, it can change the taste. So we want to make sure that we know what it's going to taste like when we commit to it properly.
8 out of 10 listeners voted the Casimir Engine Show podcast the best podcast in the world.
So when you buy your beans from your man, are they in, I don't know anything about what coffee beans look like until they're coffee beans. Do they look like coffee beans but lighter or whatever? I've seen them in Starbucks. I shouldn't say Starbucks, but you know, they have like the grades of, and it's like a little bit green and it goes darker and darker and darker until it's burnt.
They're kind of, it depends, like, for example, Brazilian beans.
Yeah.
When they're raw, they're quite small.
Okay.
A bit like those barley things that you put in soup.
Oh, pearl
but
barley
green,
type
yeah.
things. Yeah.
And then in the roaster they grow and they get bigger. It's weird.
Like puff up like popcorn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it cracks like popcorn as well when it's
Yeah.
at the right level. But Colombian ones are a bit bigger. The Nicaraguan one that we did, they're quite big when they're raw, but they're a bit more like mustardy colour to start off with. So.
Are they in a pod then? Do they come in? I'm really Philistine.
They grow in. They're called cherries. So on the coffee plant, they're red, sort of red balls.
Yeah.
And then you split.
Like a fruit.
Yeah, but very, very small.
Okay.
So about the size of a grape kind of thing, but quite a bright red. Yeah. And then you split that, and you've usually got 2 coffee beans inside.
Yeah.
And then they get dried and washed, and then so that. It's part of why everything we do is fair trade, because there's quite a lot of work, and because of where they grow, they tend to be in developing countries, so a lot of that's done by hand, so the picking and the splitting and the drying and everything, so it's quite a lot that goes into the coffee before it comes to us, and then we do the finishing off and the roasting it up and getting it out.
Wirksworth's a fair trade town.
Yes.
Yeah. Matlock's a fair trade town, I think. Why do we need to buy fair trade then?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got a gold fair trade license, which means that all our coffee's fair trade.
100%.
100% fair trade.
Of the ingredients is 100% fair trade.
Okay.
And then it means we can trace all of our coffees right back to the farmer who grew it and when he grew it, and trace right through. So we know exactly where everything's come from.
And is that part of the Full Moon brand, that you can tell people about the story of the coffee bag that they've just bought?
And in order for people to still enjoy coffee at the level that they're enjoying it, we're going to have to make sure that it's like sustainable.
Yeah.
In a good way, and fair trade, and the people the other side get, you know, the majority of it, because people drink coffee like crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas if these people don't get paid properly and then it stops,
we're all going to miss out.
We're all going to have no coffee.
Yeah.
That's not
How
good.
do you mean it stops?
Well, if they don't get the money to do it,
Okay.
or any money at all,
Yeah.
or dwindling amounts of money, it's not going to be forever kind of thing, is it?
Yeah. It's not sustainable.
No, and the good thing about fair trade coffee, so by fair trade we mean the ones that have the fair trade logo and are certified by the Fair Trade Association. The farmers have to commit, not just so they get a defined income from the sale of the coffee, but they also have to commit to reinvesting some of that money back into organic farming methods and improving things like infrastructure, because as you say, lots of the coffee comes from parts of the world that have been affected by war or developing, so it means that things like the infrastructure of those countries are benefiting as well and improving.
And can we guarantee, so I'm buying a bag of fair trade coffee from Full Moon, and can I guarantee that money's going back to Mr. Coffee Maker or Mr. Coffee Grower in Nicaragua, or was the last roast from Guatemala?
So that one was a little bit different. So that one wasn't a fair trade coffee, as in it was fair trade, as in the money all went back to them, but it wasn't. They weren't working with the Fair Trade Association. So the Guatemala one was working with, and again, apologies to any Guatemalans, but there was
loads. We have loads of them. Yeah, your pressure's on.
So this was a charity called Codihue, ACODIHUE, who were working with. So across Guatemala, they're working with 800 women who all lost their husbands during the Civil War, either directly, as in they were killed during the conflict, or they had to abandon the country because they were being hunted down, for want of a better expression. So this charity is working directly with those women, but and then so they're helping them develop their farms and produce coffee, and then the charity is linking up with importers and international sellers. So that one's not registered with the Fair Trade Association because they've made the decision to keep it a bit smaller and work directly with this charity. But we used the same importer and did the same investigation method that we do with our other coffees to make sure that nobody, all that money was going straight through that supply chain and nobody else was taking a chunk out of it.
Because that's always the worry for people who are... and I think particularly with coffee, I think the story's that bit more important because it is such a throwaway item now. I mean, you just grab a coffee from the nearest coffee shop and then you kind of go or whatever. But I think when I read that story, and that was before we'd met. We met at the festival, the Wirksworth Festival. But you didn't know who I was. I was undercover then. You see. That was the important bit. I was undercover. But I think when I read that kind of really is an important part of... It makes you consider where you buy your coffee, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the aim, really, isn't it?
So. And I think there's a responsibility on us as coffee producers and everybody involved with that whole supply chain to make sure that the money's going where it should do. Yeah. And I think nowadays the supply channels are there to make sure that you can do that. There's no excuse for not doing, really.
No.
You're listening to the Casimir Engine Show podcast, and it's the best in the world.
Brilliant. Do you want to do it again?
Yeah. Go on, do it one more time.
You're listening to the Casimir Engine Show podcast, and it's the best in the world. No more time.
So we've run through the fair trade element of it, but I'm buying bags of coffee. Actually, it was strange because I was watching a thing, I think it's on tonight, it's a programme by Simon Reeves, and he's going around the Mediterranean, and they found a turtle, and he'd eaten a plastic bag, and it was a spaghetti bag, right, which is just, it is so important at the moment. So I'm buying the coffee beans from you. How do they arrive? What do I buy the coffee beans in?
Well, we've tried to cut down on as much plastic use as possible.
Yeah.
And we don't use any in the process of making the beans into coffee beans that you can drink. Roasting, that's the word. Because our beans get delivered to us in reused, upcycled Hessian coffee sacks that have already been used and then made smaller, sewn up in the corners and sent to us.
Yeah.
And then...
So I imagine when the original ones have been sliced open and all the beans have been thrown in, but then they recycle those bags.
Like the ones we get are like stitched up.
Yeah.
But they're still usable and they're still fine. And then we've passed them on to other people to use as projects and stuff. So it's kind of, and then every time we get a delivery from our importer, they plant a tree in our name
to offset there's no getting away from the fact that we're importing something from the other side of the world, which obviously has a carbon footprint.
Any company that buys beans from this importer, the importer then plants a tree per kilogram, is it?
No, it's per 50 kilograms.
50 kilograms.
And the tree's planted...
to offset their carbon footprint of getting these beans.
And the tree's planted in the UK?
In the UK.
Okay.
And then, to slash plastic and all that even more, our bags that we use are biodegradable.
Okay. That's a good idea.
So that's another one.
Down,
So if you...
So I buy a bag of your coffee, I enjoy the coffee, drink it all and stuff like... And you do it ground and beans?
Yes, that's right.
So I buy whichever one I buy.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy beans. Right?
Yeah.
So buy beans, grind them up, empty bag, stick it in the garden or in the compost bin.
Yeah.
Or bring it, so they do break down, but they take quite a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stick it in your compost bin, and be patient. Or if you bring it back to us, so if you're local, so if you're at the farmers market, bring it back to us next month.
Yeah.
We'll
Swap
take
it for
it
a
from
full
you.
one, and we'll take
sort
it.
it
What a
out.
great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do the odd sort of pop-up coffee stall as well, and if you get anything from us there, all our coffee cups and lids and stirrers and sugar and everything like that's all 100% biodegradable too, so that'll all break down and disappear as if it was never there.
Okay.
It's the Casimir Engine Show podcast. Check out the Facebook and Twitter pages and keep up with all of the news.
When I was a kid, so we had either camp coffee, where it was like a liquid.
You can make
thing.
cakes with it, yeah.
You do all sorts with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff. And don't understand where it came from. It was like brown sauce. I'm sure we probably used it for brown sauce by mistake.
You can still get it in Ken's.
No way. Ken's is like a museum as well. But somebody once told me no milk after lunchtime. You're supposed to have black coffee after. I'm looking at you as being expert. See, I don't know. No,
I never have milk.
I think it's an Italian. You never have milk at all.
No.
No.
Well, I used to.
Yeah.
I like frothy cream, marshmallows a lot, but then Tom said, "Nah, you've got to have it without the milk, and then you'll know what you're drinking."
Well, I was a bit more friendly than that.
Nicer. No.
So you're my wife now. You'll see what I tell you.
Standing there in front of everybody, and you're supposed to just go, "I do," and you get a big reel of information about coffee out. You can't do this.
Yeah, when you go on a website and there's 24 pages of terms and conditions.
Yeah.
It's like that.
But I'm really glad because now, I can understand why people have it black now. Well, it depends on the coffee, obviously, but I like it without the milk.
Cappuccinos and all that kind of thing.
I do like a Saturday afternoon coffee.
Yeah.
Which is a latte.
Yeah.
Probably Tom makes a good latte.
Who do you supply? Where can we get your coffee?
I've written this one down.
Oh right, we've got notes. We've got notes now.
So there's the pudding rooms, which is near Carsington Water.
Oh yeah, I know
with
where
a
you
campsite
mean.
attached.
Near the Knock-A-Down.
Yeah. And you can buy it by the bag there.
Cool.
So if you're camping and you need some more coffee or you've forgotten coffee, you can get Full Moon there. The Northern Light Cinema in Wirksworth.
Yeah.
You can get it, filter coffee.
I've had one in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Stuart Wheeldon's Scary Film Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mercia, you can get it. It's our beans in their coffee machine.
I had one there. That was my great-great-great-granddad's tailor shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cool, yeah.
Wow.
Again, I should take over again, no? It's about me.
He's going to edit us out completely.
An interview with the Casimir engine.
On St John Street, there's a shop which is brilliant. I know we've mentioned Ken's a lot, but also Dip's shop in Wirksworth is fantastic.
Okay, where's that?
It's St John Street.
Yeah, so on
near the butchers.
Next to the estate agent.
Oh, yeah.
So you can
near
buy our
the new
coffee.
Heritage Centre
That's
place.
it.
That's it.
You can buy our coffee by the bag there.
Cool.
Ground and beans. And then in Derby, there's two places one's called Terroir Bistro, and they've just won awards because they're really good food.
Yeah.
But you can buy our coffee to drink and buy it by the bag there.
Okay.
And also in Derby, there's Dubrek Studios.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oobleck are playing there on
there
the
you go.
21st of December. Yeah.
Well, if you go and watch Oobleck, you can go and get a coffee.
Yeah.
You can drink it there, and I think you can buy it by the bag as well. Yeah. Then in Belper, there's the Fisherman's Rest. You can buy it by the bag.
Yeah.
Ground and beans. And then you can get it on the internet and delivered to you through this thing called Sourced Here. Sourced spelt like ketchup, tomato sauce, like Sourced Here.
Okay.
So
it's like SAUCED.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's an online supermarket for things that are made in the Peak District.
Oh, right, okay.
And they do a lot of...
have they got a Twittery thing as well?
Probably.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
I would guess.
I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Or is that like the hashtag?
No, an @sourced here.
@sourced here. I think they've got a Facebook page.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
I'll find them.
And Instagram as well, they do, at Sourced Here.
Yeah.
And then you can buy direct from us
Yeah.
and all of our information and chatting at the market, at the farmers market, which is on the first Saturday of every month.
Okay.
Outside the Memorial Hall.
Yeah, in Wirksworth.
In Wirksworth.
On St John Street.
But you've got to look for the full moon banner, which has a big full moon on it, because then you can be sure it's us.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so there's another coffee supplier there as well.
Oh, okay. But we want to buy from full moon.
It's your choice.
But yeah.
But seeing as I'm sitting here with you, we want to be buying from you, don't we, really?
It would be nice.
What about our international listeners? Would they be able to buy it from anywhere? Oh, Sourced Here.
So I don't know.
I don't know if they
deliver internationally yet. But so anybody who is international or not within arm's reach of the Peak District, if they drop us a line through, we're on Facebook, Instagram, or email us fullmooncoffeeco@outlook.com.
Yeah.
And we have delivered to New Zealand, Finland, Sweden.
Oh, okay.
So we
Nottingham.
That's a foreign country.
International.
So we can, we can sort you out if you get in touch. We can work something.
Yeah, lots of people kind of just contact us and then we deal that way.
Yeah.
It's or knock on the door even and say, "Have you got any beans?" And I sell it on the door.
Fantastic. I think that's it. Thank you ever so much for inviting me here. I'll post up all your details on the Facebook page and on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. Thanks and thank you for the coffee.
No worries.
Well, thank you for coming. It's been an experience.
It's raining like a demon out there as well.
It's horrible, isn't it?
And thanks ever so much for that.
No worries.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in. We've had over 1,000 downloads of the Casimir Engine Show podcast. I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's listened. We march ever onwards, so I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
The Casimir Engine, reliably mediocre.